Whenever we make more money than we've ever made before, normally we start to get complacent and comfortable. Let's say you're working 60 hours a week and you're making $30,000 a month. You're like, life is great. Are you going to put in the extra work and do all the things to go from 30 to 45 or 50,000? No, probably not.
I have never in my life made a bad investment, regardless of whether it was good or whether it was absolutely horrible. I learned something from it. Either I'm not going to do my stuff this way, or this is exactly what I want to do.
We're going to pick a person regardless. But that attitude you have is why ain't nobody coming to you.
There's so many people that are not in our lives anymore because they were not serving us.
18 months ago, I ran my first webinar. I sold 0 people. And then last week, I helped you guys and gave the framework. We did 130,000.
So I went into it more. I'm like, guys, there's so many people that are not in our lives anymore because they were not serving us. And they're like, oh, you're right. And I'm like, personally for me, I will gladly. And then one of my buddies said, he's like, well, dude, I don't think it's ever a good idea to burn a bridge. And I said, I used to think that same thing. But if that bridge, if that relationship, that person, that business, et cetera, if it is not serving me, if it is not pushing me to be a better man, a better boyfriend, a better business owner, a better friend, et cetera, all these things, that I will burn that bridge. But it doesn't mean that there's drama or animosity. You know what I'm saying? I always want to be surrounded by people that are pushing me and pushing me and pushing me. And I want to push them as well. And the last thing I want to become is somebody that they don't feel like they're being pushed by as well. So there needs to be that reciprocity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And there's two types of bridges, man. You've got the one that's really sturdy, that's solid, that you're not worried about. And then you got the one that's rickety in the jungle with the ropes, and you're not sure if each step you're taking, you're going to fall or not. The anxiety you have attached to that bridge is the reason why that bridge needs to go.
Yes,
we actually
100%.
need to take that bridge out of commission for everybody's safety.
100%. That's a great way of putting it, dude. And especially when there's growth involved, when you have big goals, like you can't be keeping that bridge intact for an emotional standpoint of the other party.
Yo, off the wall here. Accountability check. Taylor, how's that morning routine going?
Good, actually. I got up this morning, went to the gym. Well, took a cold shower before the gym, not after. Took a cold shower, went to the gym, met the contractors at the clinic, came back, made Grayson some breakfast because her morning sickness is horrible right now. So she doesn't eat. Like as soon as she wakes up in the morning, she'll get sick.
Same.
And then hopped on the podcast.
I love it.
Yeah.
Nick, man, what's your training look like right now?
My training right now, my intensity is still where it needs to be. My training volume is a little bit less right now, just from being in like week 7 or 8 of TRT right now. So I know my body, like what I can and cannot recover from, like just that. So like the escalation of volume in a certain training days. But, you know, for the people listening, it's like, just because that I'm not strongest right now doesn't mean that I have an excuse to not have my highest intensity ever. You know what I'm saying? And ever since I started bodybuilding, it's been in my mind ingrained so deep that by the time I'm done with the health phase, I have to look better than when I ended my cycle. I have to be looking good. I have to be full, not from from a drug perspective, from a glycogen perspective, from a training perspective, et cetera. And that's where I'm at right now, man. And I've had a little bit of a hard time after hunting season, getting back in the groove of training. Just a naive moment just a vulnerability moment for me. And I didn't know what it was. And it was really pissing me off. It was getting to the gym. It was starting my first exercise. It's like, Nick, what are you doing, man? Like, you can just take a rest day. Your body needs it. Well, man, I'm not going to I'm not going to reach goals with. And I don't know what it was. And I still don't know what it was. But something in me has changed where my training has never been better. Yesterday, I filmed a YouTube video. Well, I did 2 YouTube videos in a row. And I told the camera, yesterday was my full posterior day. So it was hamstrings and back. A day that I fucking hate to do. Okay. But I told the camera, like, guys, these are the days that you need to do. These are the days that the training days that you really suck at. Because I'm going to go from training hamstrings and I got a crazy lower back pump and then go right into training back. Like, that's the shit that I need to do for me to mentally get out of my rut. Not for me to make the most physique improvements, but if I can mentally push through the hard shit, then that's going to directly correlate to my physique, but also it's going to make other hard shit down the road seem easier. So like my training right now is great, itching to get on cycle, but just going to get blood work done. And the thing is, man, I've developed as a bodybuilder because I'd be entering week 7, in past health phases. I'm like, a couple more weeks, maybe one more week and I'm back on cycle. Man, my blood work is great. Okay. Like I got my blood work results back. My blood work is fucking awesome right now. I'm not worried about pinning 3 cc's of oil per day right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, or per week, whatever the fuck. I'm not doing 3 cc's a day. Holy shit. But like, I'm at a point where like, you know what? I'm still progressing in the gym. I feel fantastic. My health is great. You know what? If I need to be in a health phase, if I need to extend it for 2 more weeks just because I'm going to be in a better mindset, then so be it. I don't want to start a cycle where I'm in a training rut, in a mental rut. You know what I'm saying?
Where you feel like I got to have it to turn my life around.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is that you're going into like, you want to go into your cycle to where it is not going into a recomp phase. It is, I am primed and ready for the maximum potential.
Yeah. And that's a huge, just a growing moment for myself over the past few years. It's everybody wants to be on cycle as soon as possible because it feels fucking awesome. You know, you just look different. You feel different. You sleep different, recover different, everything. But man, it's so much better when you're so fixated on progress everywhere in life, including bodybuilding, including the gym. And you don't need the only time that a lot of people fall into the box of the only time that I can make progress and be motivated and be disciplined is when I'm on cycle, because that's when it matters most. No, motherfucker, it matters most when you're not on cycle. It matters most when you have think about gratitude. When you have gratitude at the lowest of lows, that is more important than having gratitude at the highest of highs. The same exact thing for bodybuilding. When you can make progress when you're not on cycle and you can push the limit, push the bar, etc., that's more important than putting all of your effort when you're 8 weeks into a cycle and now the drugs are really starting to hit. You know what I'm saying? And I attribute a lot of my success physically to that mindset, but also that's how I coach and that's how I tell my guys.
Yeah. Where would you say you're at right now, like on a mental health standpoint? Not in like crazy, got to watch you 24/7 type of mental health, but like mentality of like tackling just life and just gratitude, happiness, and like how do you think that affects your actual training and your body, your sleep, your food intake, like just how everything's working? Because it seems from the outside perspective, buddy, it seems like you thrive it.
Yeah.
I am. I'm thriving.
I have a question that feeds off of this.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Answer this, and then I want to.
I'm thriving for sure, but there's still more. There's more to be desired for myself, to be honest. For example, me and my girlfriend, we just had our 4-year anniversary. Love the girl to death, and and I brought this up to her, and I said, you know what? The reason I have not proposed to you is not because I don't want to marry you, is because I have not became the man that I need to become yet. And there's things that you continue to help me with becoming that man. And I know it's not going to happen overnight. And I know it's not just me, but there's areas that I need to pick up the slack. And she respected the shit out of it. She was like, whoa, I never thought I'd ever hear you say anything like that. Cause you see, like, I don't know. She just didn't expect me to say that.
I respect the shit out of that. And I'm not your girlfriend.
Thanks, brother. And I'm not talking about financially, and I'm more so talking about emotionally. And some of the best conversations that her and I have at night are when we're lying in bed about to watch a movie, and it's like a nightly tradition. It sounds like stupid, but in my meals, one of my meals, I have grapes in my meals. I save those grapes to the end of the night and I freeze them, and we sit there, and grapes, bro, it's fructose sugar. It's not going to affect my sleep. It's like 12 big ass grapes. They're frozen grapes. And we sit there eating our frozen grapes, laughing our asses off. We're stoned. We're about to watch a movie. We'll pause the movie. We'll just have some of the funniest conversations. But that was one of our conversations last night where I said, you know what? I'm still trying to work on my emotions. And this is what I talked about with you guys on episode 1. And just she didn't even have to say anything. It's just her eyes said everything. And her eyes were like, you know what? That's who I want to marry, is somebody that is going to tell me that they need to work on their emotions. So yes, I am thriving. I am thriving. I am also aware that I can't continue to thrive and not push myself with where I need the most work. You know what I'm saying?
I will argue that a good man will always feel like he needs to improve.
Yeah.
And so I will encourage you to find solace in that journey. And then also I will say this as your elder, don't always wait for the if and when fallacy of whenever you're going to be perfect, because I know when you look in the mirror, you don't go, man, I made it.
Yeah.
Because bodybuilding's, it trickles into how we think about everything. And so enjoy the journey, man, because that's where it's at. And those conversations are sometimes tough to have, but those are the conversations that make you actually want to get married tomorrow.
That's true.
So the more you're open about it, the more likely it's just going to push closer and closer to actually wanting to get married a lot sooner than getting ready. Because it's like, hey, actually, you support me in the process of getting ready. You're exactly actually what I need.
Yeah.
And her perspective is like, you're the person that I want to be with because you're working on being your best self. And the truth is, whenever we achieve best self, we just get better. And so I view it from the standpoint of the honeymoon phase. If it ain't good now, it sure it's not going to be good later.
Yeah.
Right. That's like hire somebody and you don't get the best out of them in the beginning. It's like, well, it ain't going to get no better.
No, that's true, man. And
right.
That's like,
so I love that, dude. That's awesome.
Thank you. And then like you said, like how that affected my training, dude, 2-3 months ago, there were just areas that like, I don't need to give examples, but areas that I was dropping the ball on with myself, not just a relationship, but it carries into a relationship.
Totally.
And it affects my training. I sit down after a set and I automatically think about, dude, you're a piece of shit. You did this. You thought this. You haven't done this yet, etc. And I should be thinking about the moment of what the job is right then and there. And that has been a huge improvement in the past few months for me of, all right, Nick, you don't want to feel like this during your training sessions because it's affecting your training sessions. It's affecting your focus, your output, etc., your performance. So what do you need to do? All right, I got to look at the root cause myself. Look in the fucking mirror. It's not going to happen the first time you look in the mirror. It's not going to happen the second time you look in the mirror. It may not happen the 10th time, but why are you dropping the ball on these things? Figure that out, ask for help, and that will be the trickle-on effect. And your girlfriend will notice it. You'll notice it with your bodybuilder. Your friends will notice it, etc.
Awesome. Perfect follow-up for that. I want to ask both of you guys because I think a lot of people can learn from this, but also myself in this situation to where 2024, I prepped, right? I was all in. Everything was bodybuilding. Like that's just, I don't want to say that's just how I am, but like, because you can change how you are. But I'm obsessive about shit when I get on it, right? So I was all in on bodybuilding and then stayed that way for a couple months after prep. And then ever since then, like I haven't been on a routine diet since January or February, just kind of training when I want to, that type of thing. So I'm sure you guys have also been through those spurts. How do you go from being all in, the switch is flipped on, to the switch is flipped off? How do you go from that to turning it back on?
For me personally, the best way to do that is you'd actually never flip the switch off. Maybe the intensity that you apply whenever it is on is not to the same magnitude. Breaking the routine is what changes everything and has this domino effect. If you go to the gym for 15 minutes and you do 2 sets and some calf raises, at least you showed up. But if you never show up, you'd never even do 2 sets and calf raises. If you don't prep any food, you're definitely not going to eat any routined meals. So never break routine. Give yourself the opportunity to make the choice in the moment versus never having a choice to be made because you already made it for yourself. There were many, many, many months. I lived in St. Louis. It was 15 minutes to go to the gym. And I had to go really early and it was the only gym that was closed. It wasn't a great gym. I mean, I got to where I was going like twice, maybe 3 times a week. And I broke the habit of going. But then I started like, hey, I'm just going to go to the gym. And if I do something great, if it's a good workout, awesome. If it's not, at least I showed up. Before I knew it, my intensity increases, my care increases, my food started to get better, and I started to just show up more because I forced myself to follow the routine, not follow the intensity, but follow the routine. I show up to the office every day, whether I want to crush it or whether I don't want to crush it, because I have no opportunity to crush it if I don't show up. So at least give yourself the opportunity to find success.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure. It really made me realize when you said the switch was never actually flipped off. I was like, you know what? That's actually true. You know, sometimes we think that we're at the lowest point and that switch is flipped off. But if we think it's actually flipped off, then the effort of actually turning it on seems so much greater. You know what I'm saying? And I've like thought about that in the past because for me, my effort when I was an amateur bodybuilder to a pro bodybuilder, bro, to becoming a pro bodybuilder, my effort just seemed like innate. It was in me. Every fucking training session, every meal, every walk that I went on, etc. It was getting me closer to the goal. myself, after I turned pro, wanting to skip classic and now go to open, it was actually harder for me than actually turning pro. It's so much further away. And after my reverse, I think 2024, I finished 2024 off with a bang in terms of bodybuilding. But 2025, I hit a big lull because as I made so much progress after prep and so much progress at early 2025, I mean, almost being 300 pounds, I looked at myself and I was like, bro, you're almost 300 pounds, but you got to get to fucking 330. Like, you've never had to do this before. It seemed like my efforts weren't being rewarded as quickly. And that made me realize, like, dude, maybe I'm like not giving my all. Like, maybe that switch is off, and to get out of that rut, I had to actually realize, Nick, this is why it's harder now than it was before turning pro, because that goal was so much quick. It was coming up a lot closer. Accomplishing was becoming into fruition quicker. It's going to be a few years before you get on your first ever pro open stage, but you're never going to get there if you still keep acting like an amateur bodybuilder of now the goal is the pro card. This is a goal that you've never ever done before. Nobody's gone from men's physique, skipped classic, and gone to open. So you have to fucking act like that person and beyond that. And that switch, I agree with Mike, that switch is never flipped off, because to actually tell yourself the switch is off, the effort to turn it on automatically seems like it's so much harder than
you actually already lost.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're like, well, I mean, I'm not in it right now, but I'll start when? Monday? Are you your fucking client?
Yeah. And I'll be like this, bro. I'll tell you this. A very big moment for me this year was realizing that I'm living the dreams of other people. Okay.
Amen.
It really hit me when I went to Mexico and I came back after Mexico. Dude, I got to Mexico and I had no idea that I was getting paid to be in Mexico until I was down there. Okay. And I was on this tour meeting all these people, most of them wanting to meet Samson, obviously, because I'm a nobody, but I had no idea that people even knew who I was in Mexico at the same time. I get back, weeks went by, months went by, and I had to realize, Nick, you may be in a rut right now and you're trying to figure out how to navigate through it. But dude, the amount of the 3-year-old version of you, the 4, 5, 6-year-old version in the past that was still in college, they would kill to be in this position right now. You know what I'm saying? You never had the dream of being a sponsored pro bodybuilder. You just wanted the bodybuild. You never thought you'd be having a separate salary check from a supplement sponsor and that being completely separate from your coaching business. You never had that as a goal, but your efforts brought that into reality. So sometimes when I feel like I'm losing, sometimes when I feel like I'm at that low, I'm like, bro, the amount of people in the world right now that would kill to be where you're at. You can change. At any moment, Nick, you can switch with that person. You can quit. You can be a bitch. You can just succumb to the pressure, all this stuff, because somebody will take your spot. But you're here for a fucking reason. And that reason is not to sit in the bottom in your low when that switch is damn near switched off. You know what I'm saying? So that helps me just realize, like, dude, I'm still living somebody's dream and it's my dream right now, but I don't realize it. And that helps me be like, all right, now get this in gear right here. This has to get in gear first.
If I can give you a little perspective, when I was your guys' age, I never once in a million years think I'd be where I'm at right now.
Same, dude. I never thought making more than $4,000 a month was ever a thing.
Yeah, that actually leads me to my next question that I was going to ask earlier when we were talking about the Coach Com thing. Do you or should you, and this is obviously for other people out there mostly, but do you or should you have an exact plan for a 5-year or 2, 3, 5 years down the road, or should you go with the flow because things are going to change?
I don't think that a 5-year plan is actually realistic with today's society. AI wasn't even a thing 5 years ago. What are we talking about?
Yeah. Or was it a thing? I think it's been around for a long time.
From a practical standpoint, right? But also, was bodybuilding the same as it was 5 years ago? It is now. So like that would be like, yeah, I'm going to plan my food for what I'm going to eat in 2030. It's like, that's silly. Right. So from the bigger picture perspective, it's like, where do I want to get to? And then how do I work backwards from there and start thinking differently? I think a 5-year goal is very, very, very difficult to actually try and achieve until you have a business that's doing very, very, very well with the team, because now it's solidified. Just like if you're a pro, you've solidified the position and now we can work towards it. I'm not in a new class. I'm not trying to grow to a new class. I'm in open. I'm just trying to now win shows and then try to place in the Olympia. It's already established. We can now just apply the pressure for 5 years consistently of the exact same things. Most businesses are not to that level, and we're still not to that level because we're still growing into making this thing happen. So it doesn't really make sense to me to say, hey, 5 years is what we're going to do. But I do think that setting minute goals and small goals will help you get there along the way. And you'll be able to actually start to achieve the little things to make the bigger things. So it's really the pie in the sky. And then I think anything past 2 years is like really way too far and unrealistic to actually build out a roadmap to achieve. And also too, when you look at it from that perspective, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are too young to stay consistent for 2 years. Hell, it's hard to get somebody to like be consistent for 90 days in the business. Why are we? Because you go, I got time. It's like, that is a really, really bad place to be. I've got time. Like, no, every workout counts, right? But I'm going to start dieting in 6 weeks. Like I can lay off on this training or food, whatever. I'll wait till I get back on cycle. And then it's like, no. You can do that, but you're not going to be where you could be if you didn't do that. So from my perspective, I look at it from, what am I trying to accomplish this week, this month, this quarter, this year? Everything else is irrelevant. These are actually what make next year possible. So I don't look too far in the future. And if I'm really honest, bro, this is the first year, last 12 months, the first time I ever set goals. I was just like, just work hard every day and it'll happen. And it does, and it gets you to a certain level. But without actually implementing like strategy to hit goals, it's just wishing. Because you're like, I want to do 100K a month. And it's like, how many clients you want? And it's like, I want 100. It's like, the math doesn't math. It doesn't work. Unless everybody pays you $1,000 a month, you're charging 300. You got a long ways to go, bro. That doesn't work. So you have to think big picture, work backwards, and then implement the strategy required. So that's my thing.
That's a very, very good. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is it's like with the clinic opening, with True Coach just starting, and with coaching, it's just like, okay, well, I don't really have any, like, sure, I have goals, obviously, but they're very broad, because it's like, there is no specific path yet.
Just because I know you, don't think about what the goal is in your second location. I think that is, I think that's way, way, way too big picture. What I would do is, what am I doing today for that business? What am I doing today for this business? And what am I trying to accomplish this week for that business? Will move the needle so much faster than thinking a long-term goal with a lot of effort and energy. And it's like, what things can you do today that move the needle for that business? I heard a quote Alex Ramosi say this morning. It said, most people focus on doing the wrong things inside the business. He goes, the reason I think I have so much success is because I spend 4 to 6 hours a day on the things that actually move the needle in the business, that are urgent and important, versus being urgent but not important.
Eisenhower's matrix.
Yep. That's a
great example of that. If you work from home, doing the dishes is important and is not urgent. And so you need to do 4 hours, let's say, in the first thing in the morning, of something that moves the needle in the business that is urgent and important. The dishes are just important, not urgent. So don't take your 4-hour block to sweep up some dog hair and do the dishes and this over here. And it's like, but those need to get done. It's like, they do need to get done. But at the end of the day, if you work the first 4 hours on something that was urgent and important, you could hire somebody to do the important things.
I have a take to that too. Something that I've always done for the longest time that I can remember is, even though like literally you brought up dishes, man, dishes are part of my routine every morning. Okay. Is because when I get up, before I even do anything for the business, before I even do any type of cardio or whatever, I want to accomplish a task. And I purposely leave a certain amount of dishes in the sink the night prior, so that when I wake up that morning and I get done feeding my animals, I do the dishes and I finish with a task. Because then I can just check that box in my head. I'm like, you know what, Nick, you just accomplished something. Now go accomplish something upstairs on the computer. But like what you're saying is not wrong, but that's just like how my brain operates, but because a lot of people were like, all right, I'm going to clean the house. I'm going to sweep here. I'm going to vacuum, make the bed, fold laundry, etc. And then boom, by the next thing you know, they're 3 hours into their day and all their work is stacked up and they can't grow the business because they're putting all their energy and effort into their environment. A clean environment is important. Don't get me wrong.
Very.
But how urgent is it?
And all you're doing is actually creating a routine that sets you up for success. So in our household, we do it slightly different. we basically will have like kitchen clean at night before we go to bed so that I wake up and I'm not having to do something requiring bandwidth. I'm doing something that is pushing the needle forward versus cleaning up after myself. So slightly different, but that allows me to just go into like, hey, I'm going to do things that are productive instead of reactive. But again, it's like how everybody works. Like this perfect morning routine thing, I used to be like, all right, so I'm going to get the sauna. I'm going to walk. I'm going to do the cold plunge. I'm going to work out. And it's just like, bro, I just spent the last 3 hours prepping for the day. And it's like, why don't you just start the day?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't you just do instead of getting my mind right? Right. Everybody operates different. I just realized that for me, it's like get up, eat, get to the gym, get to the office so that you can start the day. All that
100%.
other stuff is just for you to feel good about yourself and what you're doing and mental health, this, that, whatever. And it's like, but if I love to work, why am I delaying myself from doing the thing that I love to do?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, dude, that's a great way to start to wrap things up here. We're going on about an hour and a half. Guys, I mean, I had one hell of a time learning from you guys today, hearing from you guys. And what are any last things that you want to give the audience here as they listen to this the second week of January once it releases?
I think anybody in that rut, man, it's like, just go back to just find the switch and turn it on. Don't try to be perfect. Don't say like, okay, I hit my macros perfectly. It's like, no, dude, just go to the grocery store and buy food. That way you can have something to start the prep for it. You know, just show up to the gym, just get outside and just walk, do something. But like body in motion stays in motion. So never turn the switch off. Just keep it rolling.
I agree.
Yeah.
Building off of that, I think people can in 2026 got to realize if they've got any goals for bodybuilding, any goals for business, relationship, whatever it may be, you know, it's not about having 110% perfect weeks on end. You know what? It's about this week, I was better than I was last week. And then next week, because I'm a big proponent in don't tell me that you're going to give me your 110% because then that means that there's no more progress that you can give me. There's no more effort that you can give me. Give me the best effort, but give me more effort the next week. And that's what people should think about going into 2026. If you haven't been reaching your goals, maybe you're putting too much pressure on yourself about having 100% perfect weeks. Instead, you should think about stacking up a consistent regimen, rhythm, etc. every day that leads you to a week. And then sooner or later, you're going to have, holy shit, the last 6 months have been perfect for me, you know, instead of focusing on a 100% perfect week. And then it's going to be harder to do that again next week.
For the person that is all in or all out, where you're giving 100% or 0%, you're going to average around 50. If you would just show up at 80% every day, you'll make progress every single day.
The moments that I've caught myself not pushing myself to be better is when I think that I'm giving my all to everything I'm doing.
That's good.
That's really good. I know that I can, the next week, I can push myself more and more and more. But if I think that I couldn't have done more than I did the last week prior to that, then where am I going to try to grow in the new week, in the new day? You know?
I love that. Something I want to leave with is something that I was thinking about this morning, kind of a little different. But so I was riding in the car this morning and I was like, damn, I forgot today's the last day of the year. And I started going down this rabbit hole of like, why does it not feel like a new year? And I think it's because I built up so much momentum and stuff like that during Q4 of this last year that it's just like, well, guess what? Tomorrow's January 1st, 2026, but tomorrow's also just another day with the same goals that I had a month ago or yesterday or day before. So it's like, maybe people can use this for next new year or next week. It's like, you don't have to wait on the new year to build momentum. You don't have to wait on the new week to build momentum. It's just like, if you just always have these constant goals that are, tomorrow's really just another fucking day. It's just, it's a calendar changes, right? Like it means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Sure, it's a new year. And that isn't to discourage people from having New Year's goals and stuff like that, because I think they're great if you stick to them. But like, if you say, oh, it's a new year, I'm going to start doing this. It's like, okay, well, new year next year, that should just be a habit, right? So like, don't use the new year as a time to, oh, I'm going to change my whole life, because in reality, you're probably just going to keep doing the same things that you were doing leading into the new year. So just think of it as it's a new day. I have the same goals that I had yesterday, and I'm going to accomplish the same goals that I had already planned on accomplishing.
I love it. Posted something yesterday. My caption was moving different, not because it's about to be a new year, but because big goals require constant evolution. And that's why I named my coaching team Team Evolution Training Nutrition. It's not because I'm evolving the body, but if you have these big goals of bodybuilding or whatever in life, there is big goals require constant evolution, you know, and it's in I didn't make a team name because I wanted a team name. I wanted there to be a mantra, a vibe, a culture to that, what evolution means. You know what I'm saying? And I think just like the caption of my post yesterday has just been running through my head. And this morning, my alarm went off and I went to go turn it off and continue on sleeping in. And I'm like, Nick, you fucking pussy. You literally just yesterday posted about constant evolution to achieve those big goals. Get your ass up and start the day. And that's what it just clicked in my head. So 100%, man, like just because it's New Year doesn't mean everything's going to change. It's going to change if you want it to change, if you put that action in. I used to be the person where I used to kind of look poorly upon people that made New Year's resolutions. And that's just, I'm admitting that, 3 years ago, I was singing a different tune. I was like, why do you need it to be a new year to make a goal or to achieve a goal? Just do it whenever you want. If that helps somebody, because it's New Year, then good. Mm-hmm. But guess what? If you want to actually achieve that goal, you need to always evolve. And if the person that you were last week or last year is not evolving, then something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What's something you want to be accountable? I think this would be really cool to end it right here. What's something that next time we chat next week that you're going to be like, yep, I did that thing. Ability call right here.
You know what? It's going to be, for me, it's going to be having my onboarding modules set up on school.
Let's go.
And and I've started filming them, but there's some things I still need to tighten up and I need to get done. And I need to have those done by the time we meet next week.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to have 5 modules done for True Coach by the time we meet next week.
Bingo.
Let's go. Everybody just filming courses.
Yeah, I'm gonna add to that though. I'm gonna get 4 workouts in, and I'm gonna get my meals prepped, at least 3 meals a day prepped by next week.
All right. What am I going to do? Actually, tomorrow is the new year, which I said I was going to start filming 4 hours of content a day. The way my calendar looks right now, that ain't happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to film a YouTube video. That's what I'm going to do.
Do it.
Yeah.
I don't know on what yet, but I'm going to film one.
Day in the life. When all else fails, day in the life.
That's the hardest one to do.
Yeah, but you just follow yourself around with the camera and do what you do.
Yep.
That was one hell of a podcast for episode 2.
Absolutely, guys. Gentlemen, congratulations on a successful year. Let's make another one really good.
Man. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
See you, boys.
We can make it happen.
That'd be awesome.